So do I think tonic herbs and supplements are really the end all be all answer to all things? I would say obviously not. However, in some cases, depending on what the actual situation or what the thing is that you're trying to address, sometimes it can be just the thing that you need to turn the corner on something or to experience some kind of transformation. I think on a wider context, they actually can be an intro point, an introduction to, or an entry point into a wider way of seeing things, a wider possibility of transformation. So our culture has a mindset of kind of just want to take a pill for something or just want to add water to something and that's just going to fix it. And we tend to approach situations almost in a very almost superstitious kind of medieval sort of way where we imagine all of our problems or issues that we're dealing with somehow this foreign otherworldly kind of thing, and somehow we're so far over here from it and this evil thing is attacking us. And sometimes obviously that can be true, but the problem is that from that mindset we often miss a lot of the cause and effect relationships. So we miss the things that we're actually doing that might be actively contributing to that thing occurring. We miss looking at our actual behaviors, our thoughts, our actions, our conduct, our overall orientation and way we look at life, and how that might set up an environment where that kind of thing can occur. Because certain things only grow in certain environments, certain things die in certain environments. That's just kind of seems to be a basic, common sense, easily observable thing that's built into the world that we're in. So what I think how tonic herbs and adaptogens can be useful is that if there's something that can come in and have a kind of a dual direction, intelligent, rebalancing, recalibrating, modulating effect on the body and address various systems, whether it's our immune system or our stress response system, various aspects of our endocrine system or functions of our liver, our heart, etc., but especially the stress response and the immune system. Once these things start to modulate and change and hopefully calm down and balance and restabilize, that can have pretty large effects on our overall mentality, our overall approach to life, our overall orientation. Which how really where the rubber hits the road is that, simply put, if we show up in situations and relationships from a very stressful, inflamed place, it's much more likely that we're just going to create more situations and more experiences that are going to create more stress and more inflammation. Versus if we show up in a much more calm and balanced and centered way, to put it kind of generic, colloquially, then we're going to be much more likely to respond to situations and people in a way that's probably going to foster more of those qualities, more calm, more comfort, less reactivity, less stress, less inflammation. And then when you stretch that out over a long enough period of time, now we're talking about transformation. When you're talking about applying that in various contexts in our life, whether it's in our work or in our family situation or even in our internal dialogue, you start changing patterns across these various contexts across a long enough period of time. Now we're talking about transformation. Now we're talking about really changes happening, and we're actually starting to approach what healing actually is and what that actually means. Because for me, I don't think healing is like the same thing as coping. I think coping is coping. Like if you hurt your leg and you require a crutch to get around, the crutch isn't healing you, it's allowing you to cope, which obviously in that situation, in that context, is completely appropriate and useful. But if I can walk around normally and someone gave me a crutch, that's actually a hindrance. Likewise, spending the rest of my life needing that crutch isn't necessarily healing. What would actually be healing is not needing that again, obviously, yes, but also getting to the point to where I completely forget that that injury occurred, and I'm not spending the rest of my life limping and kind of compensating for that, or have all of my tissues distort around that injury and keeping my body in kind of a protection sort of mode, which requires energy, which causes inflammation, which causes the system's overall efficiency to go down. So healing is actually just completely being over something almost to the degree that it never really happened. So if you can stretch this over to a psychological level, you think about all the stresses, the bumps and the bruises that we all have encountered in our lives, which is normal. Obviously, on the positive side, we can learn and take life lessons from that. We can take wisdom, we can get some insight and mature and develop as an individual, of course. But a lot of us, and what's natural, is to sort of take on all these other compensation patterns and basically develop our identity around an injury or around a sense of inflammation, and then spend so much time just trying to avoid that, which again lowers the overall efficiency of our system, keeps our nervous system in a kind of a protective, fight or flight, irritated kind of state, which is for many people the norm. But the thing is if enough people are doing it, and enough people are doing it over a long enough period of time, then that becomes normal. That becomes our reference point. That becomes our sense of normality and equilibrium. So then we forget that that's what it even is. It's like you get so far down a certain set of doorways that all the ones behind you close, but then after a while you forget that you ever even went through them and that they ever even closed. So trying to explain this idea a little from a couple different angles, a couple different metaphors and illustrations, but that's why I think adaptogens and tonic herbs can be sometimes, yes, all someone needs as, to solve an issue or whatever, but also in many cases in our wider context can actually be real tools for transformation, growth, and development. And why that is difficult sometimes for people to understand is because we just want to ignore something or think it's some far off thing that we have nothing to do with, and we just take a pill or do a thing and that's going to magically go away. And yes, obviously sometimes that is true. However, for a lot of stuff, for a lot of people, especially on a human level, that's not really how things function. That's not really how things operate. So having something like these tools can help us at least dip our toes into and hopefully eventually expand our context and our perception to really allow transformation to occur. So if you want to learn more, check out hyperionherbs.com. Check out the link below. I'll talk to you soon.